Well, welcome to another Acoustic Alternatives. A little different look on this one today. In fact, we might even redub this one Electric Alternatives. I'm John Bommarito, normally from Grove Studios, which is where I've been doing the podcast since it began in the fall of 2020. They are gracious hosts and a great place to, if you're looking for a place to practice your band, or if you're a DJ looking for a place to do that thing and not disturb your neighbors. They're a great choice for you. Grove Studios in Ypsilanti. But today we're from Allen Audio, which is where Erin, Zindle, and the Ragbirds did their last Bird and Friends show. It was recorded here, or actually done live from here. And we're going to talk to Erin, Zindle, and the band after we get a performance. But before we do that, I want to thank the guy who makes this possible. David Palmer is a guy who's been a fan of what I've been doing for many years, what I was doing on the radio. You can visit him at dcpalmer.com. He's an associate broker realtor serving clients in the city of Detroit and throughout the region. And I'll give you a little bit more information about David Palmer later. But meanwhile, it is my pleasure to welcome to Acoustic Alternatives, Erin, Zindle, and the Ragbirds.
I'm happy when I don't think of you. And that's getting easier to do. I'm writing a new story. It has nothing to do with you. Out of the triage to the montage of the scenes of my life, as I'm getting it together. My new story. You are not a part of my new story. I'm dancing around my diamond. Dazzling than I've ever been. I'm building a new temple. All of my friends are welcome in. Triage to my new story. You are not a part. You are not a part. You are not a part of my new story.
That is the perfect reintroduction to Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds. The new sound, very different than where you were when I first met you many years ago. And it's such an intense song. And because I kind of know the background of the story, it also hits you differently when you know what you were feeling when you wrote that. But wow, that's all I got to say. That has to be the opener or whatever next record you're putting out. It has to be, because that's like an in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We're still deciding what even that next thing is going to be, so we'll see.
I hope it's an album of some sort, a record. I mean, the people that release singles periodically, it's nice, but I just don't ever pull out a single like that anymore. I'd rather have a full collection of songs myself. That's just the way I personally consume music. So
Yeah, me too.
works for me. So this is Erin Zindle and her band, the Ragbirds. Erin, correct me, you grew up in New York, right?
Yep, Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, very nice. Set the scene what it was like growing up as a Zindle in Buffalo, New York for me.
Oh,
Like your brother did too.
just like my brother TJ did. Well, my family was very musical, though they're not musicians. So we sang a lot together growing up. So it was nice to. My parents didn't really listen to music very much, except for some Christian gospel stuff that my mom would put on once in a while. But mostly, we just would make our own music. And so we thought that was totally what everybody does. And I don't know. And they also, my parents really encouraged my brothers and I to study our instruments. And so they supported us when we wanted to take lessons. And I've been playing violin since I was little, and TJ grew up playing the trumpet, and our older brother Eddie played the guitar, and we just, TJ and I were in a band together back in high school.
Well, I didn't know that.
That was our first little songwriting foray together, trying it out.
Is that when the dream started to maybe do this as this is your main source of income, your living? So was there like a 10-year-old Erin who dreamed about doing this for a living?
Secretly, yes. I think that dream has always been inside me, but I would never have had the confidence to have said that out loud to anybody. I would never have admitted to that dream early on. Even when I was doing it, I still couldn't really believe it was. It took me a long time to even own that this is actually happening. So.
But this is the path you're on. This is the path you followed. Was there ever another path?
No.
No, never another path. Did your parents encourage you to go ahead and follow your dream? Or were they thinking, oh, please do something that's more stable? I mean, you and I both know how great and stable being a musician is.
Yeah, it's great and stable.
Kind of. Did you have other jobs along the way when you weren't performing? No, you never had another job?
I've only ever taught and performed. So, I don't know. Some people say I've never had a real job.
What was your first instrument that you picked up then? The violin?
I played piano a little bit before I started violin, though I didn't take formal lessons. I had a couple of little lessons to teach me the finger numbers, and then I wrote a bunch of songs on piano when I was little, and just enjoyed playing by ear. And then I studied violin at age 9.
Did you ever picture yourself more of a side woman, less of a front woman, or was that always sort of a dream of being a front woman?
I toured in another band called Madison Green for 5 years, and I was a side woman in that band and never would have dreamed I'd ever be the front woman. But after leaving that band, I had written a whole bunch of songs. In fact, when I started the Ragbirds, I was starting the recording process, and I put an ad in the paper to audition lead vocalists to sing my songs, because I didn't think I could be the lead vocalist. And I've, since then, grown a lot more confident with my voice and taken a lot of lessons, learned how to sing better, because I would go hoarse a lot. I had a lot of really bad habits at that time starting out. So yeah, I've grown into the role very gradually.
And very comfortably, I see as well.
Thanks. It's always been the songwriting, though, that's been the passion for me. And the performance. I mean, I love performing for people, and I've been on stages since I was little. So, but like performing my own songs was sort of like the only way to share them. You know, it was sort of a default thing. So being I see myself more, I identify more as a songwriter than as a singer, although obviously I have to sing my own songs to present them, so it's kind of been I better get my voice sounding better so I can sing the songs as well as I want to hear them.
And there's a certain amount of charisma that's involved in being a front woman like you are. I mean, you have that. I mean, every time I see you, I can't help but smile. And I know a lot of people are really passionate about what you do here at Allen Audio. I noticed on the walls we've got, Asia and Loverboy and Anthrax, and then there's multiple posters of you. So clearly you've reached the people here, and we've got some other mutual friends who are big fans of what you do, like I am. But I'm glad you've been on this path. Who did you look up to musically speaking when you were a kid? Was there somebody that you're like, oh, I love so and so?
Well, it's funny because it was always male artists, and I think that also was interesting. It was hard for me to. I've never really identified with a female role model in the scene. I mean, I knew they were out there. I just never really identified with them, and I had a pretty male-dominated life, with two brothers, and I was always hanging around with the band guys, and just never really. So my early artists that I looked up to were all male singers and songwriters like Billy Joel and Paul Simon and Sting, and I don't know, there's a lot, but I don't know. I guess lately I've been opening up more to listen to female artists and enjoying them.
Most people that are proficient at the violin probably don't dream of being in a rock band, which essentially you now are in a rock band. It wasn't, again, as I first met you, but I think of maybe Kansas is the only band I can think of with a violin player that really did well as a rock band. Was that, and as you created the Ragbirds from scratch, you were much more of a world music band. Was there, again, sort of a path you were planning on, I want to achieve this apex, I want to get to this goal, because as this kind of band, we can achieve it as well as this other band. Was there any plan like that?
No, it's just naturally unfolded in the same way. Even the stylistic shifting of this band over the 15 years that we've been a band has been a natural. I think in the beginning, when I first started writing songs for the Ragbirds, I was listening to so much world music and I loved to travel through music. I loved music that made me feel like I was someplace else. And so I was really drawn to world music sounds and styles and immersed in that. So that came out naturally through my songwriting in those early days. And over the years, as I've been developing my voice and getting more confident in, I guess, getting to know myself better, I feel like the sound is evolving into something that feels, less like me touring the world and more like me in my home, and also more vocal forward, I'm writing songs that I can dig my own voice into more, and thinking about that as a songwriting concept. Like, instead of writing really hard songs, I used to write songs that were really hard for me to sing and that weren't in my range and whatever. And I've learned, I want to be able to really dig my voice into this. So I write melodies that feel good to sing, and that's been a big change in the songwriting. So that's sort of been a gradual evolution. I haven't really looked towards any goal and aimed for that. Just sort of let things unfold and tried to be true to the process.
Well, again, as a violin player, did you ever consider another path like an orchestra or a Celtic band would have been more, I guess, in line with violin? Was that ever a thought?
Well, I've played so many different styles and was in many orchestras in high school and in my younger years. But I didn't really enjoy the feeling of playing, in that competitive classical environment. It wasn't. I'm doing this because I have songs to sing. I'm not doing this because, I'll just play my violin. I just want to play my violin for a living, and whatever, I'll play with this band, a cover band, whatever, like classical, I don't care, I just want to play. Some people have that attitude towards it, and that's fine and good, but for me, it's like I'm playing because I have songs to sing. And so I write the parts I want to hear in those songs, and this is like, all of this is like supporting the songs.
Do you remember the reaction to your first show as the Ragbirds, like how that would have felt 15 years ago? People responding to your original music?
The first Ragbirds show, like how the crowd responded to me?
Do you remember how that, do you remember that feeling?
Yeah. Yeah, it was huge. And so we started off in Ypsilanti at the TC's Speakeasy, and there was quite a little scene at that time that we would play all the time we'd play at the open mic. That was kind of our first shows were there. And it was always just so packed and so hyped up, and there was so much energy and such a positive, joyful response to the songs. And that's always been something that keeps me going. The songs get me onto the stage, and then it's like the response is like, oh, well, other people are really enjoying this. I should keep doing it. It feels good to share that. That's something that I've really noticed has been difficult over this last year, not being able to share it, not having that energetic connection with people. And I'm, now that we're starting to reemerge and do some shows again, it's like reconnecting with that feeling of like seeing the response, because it's something that's meant to be shared and enjoyed together. And it feels incomplete when we're playing it without that response. For sure. Yeah.
It's nice to watch it on video, but it's much better to be in the room with you guys. The energy's a little different. So Madison Green, were they based in Michigan, or where were they based?
Yeah, in the Downriver area.
Is that what brought you to Michigan, was being part of that band?
No. I was, after high school, I was dating my high school sweetheart, and his family moved to Michigan. And I decided to move with them, and we joined that band together and played in that band for 5 years. And then after that, I started the Ragbirds.
And stylistically, when you started the Ragbirds, was there some sort of hole you felt that needed to be filled as far as like, well, there's not really a band like this out there? Because there really wasn't a band like the Ragbirds when I first heard you.
No, I didn't think about that at all. I was just writing what I wanted to hear, and I guess I was aware of that because people would ask, like, well, who do you sound like, and what's your genre? So, like, you had to kind of go, well, how do we fit? How do we describe this? Because everyone wants a reference point to understand what you're doing. So I was aware that what we were doing, like, I wasn't like what any other band I could find was doing. I mean, there were some other examples. I mean, people would say early on, like Rusted Root or something. They were also like a big influence on me when I was a teenager, and some other, I don't know. But no, there definitely not any female-fronted bands also was a big thing. And like we kind of were in the jam band scene a lot in those early years, and there was many times we'd be at an entire weekend festival of jam bands, and I'd be the only woman that got on stage all weekend, So that was that scene. I mean, it's shifted and changed in the last a little bit. I mean, there are more women, I think, doing this, but there really weren't a lot of examples, early on.
As far as my experience with the Michigan music scene and kind of watching the levels of success that various people have achieved, I don't think anybody I've ever spoken to other than you has had an album do anything in Japan.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did that happen?
How did it happen? Well, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but we did have a hit in Japan in the summer of 2009. And it was right after TJ had joined the band, right? You joined in 2008. And so we went on tour and got to play for like 10,000 people at this festival in Yokohama called the Green Room Festival. And we had a song that was on the top pop 100 in Japan for at least for a week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like in between like Lady Gaga and
That's
like
cool.
there was like Black Eyed peas
That's
were on
crazy.
it. Yeah, it was, but you know, and we had a lot of sales and a lot of, you know, radio play over there for a short time, and then that was our only Japanese tour though.
That's still pretty cool. It's not
kind
a
of
part
like
of
a
a lot of
summer
stories.
fling.
Yeah, it isn't part of the story of a lot of people I speak to. That's all. It's kind of a neat little niche thing. So, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a
It was
cool
our
hit.
song "Book of Matches," which is not like a one I would think of as like that's our pop hit.
No.
But that was the one.
Where do you find your biggest audiences outside of the Michigan music scene? Where do most people show up outside of here?
Oh, you know, we have a lot of friends and fans throughout the Midwest and down in the Southeast, and in Colorado and Minnesota, Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Nice.
I don't know, how far does the Midwest go exactly? I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. I've only been outside of it a few times myself, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
Well, I know that they're anxious, like I am, to hear more new music from Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds, so I'm going to step out of the way and let you do another one. Why don't you introduce this?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is one of our new songs. We've been using Patreon over the last year to kind of support the development of new material. We've been writing a lot of new songs, and we definitely have enough to fill an album. But this is that first song, and actually all 4 of these songs are new and unrecorded songs. So this is called "Armed and Dangerous." Fortress for your inner child. You're armed and dangerous, armed and dangerous. Each time we argue, you go there to hide. You're armed and dangerous. Shooting daggers at the heart of me. Your words are poisonous, words are poisonous. Look how destructive you can be to me. Your words are poisonous. I'm not the victim of the careless things you say. You are not the villain of my story. So let's call a truce and ban the use of the words of mass destruction that may win the war, but not the glory. But you don't have to be. You're armed and dangerous, armed and dangerous. You seem to think that I'm your enemy. You're armed and dangerous. Your signs are telling me to go away. Your words are poisonous, words are poisonous. You're saying things that you don't mean to say. Your words are poisonous. I'm not the victim of the careless things you say. You are not the villain of my story. So let's call a truce and ban the use of the words of mass destruction that may win the war, but not the glory. Hold your fire, slow your roll, cool your guns and gain control. Hold your fire, 'cause there's a white flag flying in the sky. Hold your fire, slow your roll, cool your guns and gain control. Hold your fire, 'cause there's a white flag flying in the sky. And I am not the victim of the careless things you say. You are not the villain of my story. Let's call a truce and ban the use of the words of mass destruction that may win the war, but not the glory.
Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds on acoustic alternatives with a little parenthesis saying electric in the middle there. What was the name of that one again?
Armed and Dangerous.
Armed and Dangerous. Very cool. I like that one a lot. Well, we've met Erin. There are several other members of this band who are extremely talented, and I'm going to turn to my left and meet brother TJ Zindle. Hello, TJ.
Hey, how's it going, John?
So good to see you.
Likewise. It's really good to be here.
I'm betting that the change in the sound of the band is probably most welcomed by you, because I think of you as a rocker anyway.
Yeah, that's mostly my fault.
It's your fault. I don't know that it's a fault. When did you pick up guitar? It sounded like trumpet was your first interest.
Started trumpet at like 8 or 9, and I started bass around 12 for a minute, and then guitar about 13, and started writing songs, and then learned just enough to start a band, and then get normal life, and then that was it.
Was it because you wanted to write songs that you picked up guitar, and it's hard to do on a trumpet?
Yeah, kind of. Well, with the bass first, like realizing like, oh, you can just do it, you know, and I grew up with a lot of like great Buffalo bands. There's a record label called Mary's Lounge Records that my old band, Last Conservative, we were on. So I got to go see all these bands playing and being like, oh, you can just do it. You don't have to be good or whatever. You can just take your songs, and that energy is enough to feel good. So yeah.
Can I interject and say that TJ's band was actually really good? He said you don't even have to be good.
We opened for Bon Jovi one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Do recordings exist of this band?
Yes. Oh yeah. We put out 4 records. You could find them all on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all the usual spots, iTunes, all that stuff.
What was the name of the band?
Last Conservative. We're kind of like a pop rock sort of dance, a little bit of that emo kind of thing. You know, we started like 97, 98 until about 2006, 2007.
Worth looking into.
Yeah.
Have you always been close to your sister?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, when we were, you know, around each other, we were, you know, we traveled in different little circles, but, you know, and she was a couple years older, so.
What's the age difference? Just a couple years?
Just 2 years.
Just 2 years?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
My sister.
Our older brother was 2 years, then Erin's in the middle, and I'm, you know.
Same with my family. We're all 2 years apart. I'm the lowest of the 4. But
that's good, because then you could still kind of connect, but there's
Right.
also that, like, little brother, get the hell out of here energy, you know.
But you also look up to them to see what not to do, because they made the mistake. Oh, don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, older brother and sister.
They took some of the early arrows for me.
So when did you move to Michigan then?
In 2009, my band had broken up, and their guitar player had split. So I just came out originally just to do a couple of shows that summer, and then I've been here for almost a decade, or actually over a decade at this point. Jeepers. Yeah.
Jeepers. Nobody uses that term.
Well, you know, I don't want to curse.
I know.
We can curse though if we want to, right?
You can.
Okay. Still not gonna, because I want to be classy with it.
I know one of your favorites is Elvis Costello, because you and I saw him together. Who else would you say would be your guitar playing heroes or songwriting heroes?
Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Oh,
a lot of Radiohead. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. A lot of early Pearl Jam. I grew up through all the Seattle stuff, and watching Eddie Vedder jump off the balcony in the Alive video was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. And every time I've jumped into a crowd, they've parted. But one day they're gonna move me a couple feet, and then I'll be like, I did it.
They caught me. They caught me.
That and Johnny Greenwood hitting the guitar and Creep. That was like, oh, I want to play guitar now. Okay, cool.
There's very specific moments.
Yep.
Has there been a favorite gig that you've ever played? Like a moment in a gig, you're like, oh, that was the best gig ever. Because you might say that after every gig, but.
That Bon Jovi gig was pretty cool. That was at an arena. We had won XM Radio's Best Unsigned Band of 2006, I think. And Bon Jovi did a tour on the Have a Nice Day tour. It was great because they just had a regional band open in every market as direct support. And they gave us like full reign, like you can have all these channels. Like they didn't say you gotta turn the power amps down. And it was 13,000, 14,000 people. So, it was pretty nuts.
That's a nice memory.
Yeah, they'll probably never happen again.
I can't see Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds opening for Bon Jovi, but it could happen, I suppose. Not unlikely.
I gotta call John, see how he's doing.
I meant to wear my Zindles T-shirt to represent the duo that you had with your sister. Are there? You mentioned this before we actually started this, that you're working on some of your own solo material. Tell me about what's going on with your next record.
Yeah, I've throughout the quarantine, I had obviously had a lot of time, and I've pretty much been making a record on my iPad, And Jamie Candeloro, who did the last Ragbirds record, he produced it, and he's done REM and Willie Nelson and a bunch of other people. So yeah, I've got about 7 songs done. Trying to figure out a game plan of, you know, whether I know you mentioned I'm kind of the same way. I prefer EPs or records. Yeah, so I'll probably drop a single sometime this fall and kind of start that process, you know.
Just for me, the whole idea of a single is great if you follow it up with something else, because I'm
Yeah.
going to forget about it. I might like it a lot, and then I might
Sure.
forget to go back and play it again because I've moved on to this record that's sitting in my pile to listen to.
Yeah, that's the catch-22 these days. Everyone is such a short attention spans. You kind of have to hit them every, you know, week and a half.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, good luck.
Well, thanks for being part of this today. It's
Thanks for
my
having me.
first
This is awesome.
Acoustic Alternatives full band performance, and again, thanks to Alan Audio for being great hosts for this. And let's meet the rest of the band. I'm going to wander over here by you, Erin, and meet Shannon Wade. Hello, Shannon. Good. You guys, you actually, if people want to hear you talk, you actually have to be there. Where did you grow up, Shannon? I don't know your background.
I haven't yet.
You haven't grown up.
No, not really.
What city did you grow up in? Let me rephrase the question so I get an actual answer.
Yeah, I grew up just in Hillsdale County.
Okay.
You know, just the backyard was farmland, and the front yard was our high school, and
Small.
a lot of cows and corn. Yeah.
Smells great. Corn, corn, corn. What's that smell? Never mind.
Yeah.
You don't know that song. How long have you been playing in bands?
Ooh, a long, long time. Been on bass for 26 or 7 years, mostly upright.
Did you dream of a certain kind of band when you picked up the bass? Like, I want to be in a band that does this kind of music when you were a kid?
No, I specifically kind of picked up bass so that I didn't have to specifically say a different type of band. I liked all kinds of music. I grew up with my dad playing a wicked radio, and he played all kinds of music, you know, bluegrass and rock and classical music even. It was great.
How long have you been playing with Erin?
This is 4 years. You know, take a year and a quarter off.
Well, yeah. Subtract what happened to all of us.
Yeah.
Were there any previous projects that I might have heard of that you were part of? Because I don't.
Maybe.
You could
Probably
name them. It's
thousands.
not offensive.
Hot Club of Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Nashville Symphony Orchestra. Yeah, the list is very long and weird. And right now I play mostly duet with a guitar player named Eric McIntyre, who's a very good acoustic guitar player. And it's fun and magical in the jazz sense,
Oh,
not so much in the rock sense.
where do those gigs happen?
I play every Sunday at Diamato's restaurant in Royal Oak with a brunch with that guitar player.
Nice.
And then we play everywhere else almost all the time.
Was well, it's an endorsement from TJ. Was bass your only instrument you've ever played? Is that was it?
No, I played trumpet in band like TJ growing up, or when I was little. Let me rephrase to offer some continuity to my previous statement.
Do you ever find yourself intimidated by audiences? You're not
No,
really, 'cause you're not really in their face. You're just kind of in the back.
right. Being a sideman helps on that, but also I think I burned out my nerves in college. Auditioning for college in front of the professor in Nashville was about all my nerves could take, and really haven't been nervous since.
Well, I'm glad that you're part of the band now. I like this new configuration. This is really, really cool thing. And we have one more member to meet, and I can't face him because it'll be my back to the cameras, which is weird. So Lauren Kranz is here on drums.
Sheet out like this, stage direction.
Yes, I mean, I think I have no idea if I'm still in the camera, but I'm assuming so. So Lauren, where did you grow up?
A little town called Freeland, Michigan. Yeah, up near Saginaw area, Saginaw Bay City.
You're still based out of there, are you not?
I live there now again. Yeah.
Again?
I've lived in Ypsilanti for a long time, and
Yeah, because you used to be around more than you are now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I guess preface this with this is my second time in the Ragbirds, right? Because I joined the band in 2010, and I played with this group for about 4 years, almost 4. And then left to kind of pursue some other projects, started a band of my own, started playing with everybody all over the place, all over the state, as much as I could. And then in 2018, into 2018, I think. TJ actually called me and said, "Hey, we're looking for a drummer. What do you think about giving it another go?" And that was, I gave it some time to just think about it and see if I would want to be in that situation, because I was doing a lot more of kind of my own projects, fronting a band, that kind of thing. And I said, yeah, I think I would like to do that. You know, I would like to come back, and at that point, 5 years later, like you said, the band is so different. You know, like what a transition, what a almost a reformation, recreation of the Ragbirds, Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds now. You know?
I would think both incarnations would have been fun to play in as far as
Super
the drummers.
fun to play in.
I mean,
Absolutely.
very rhythmic band when it was initial. Like you said, Rusted Root was a good comparison to think about how much rhythm is going on with what they're doing.
Totally. You're right on with the world music thing, because that's one of the things that drew me to the band in the first place. And like that last song that we played, we still have a lot of that, you know, but with a little more of an edge, I think. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
How long have you been playing drums?
22 years, 2/3 of my life. I've been playing drums
Wow.
now. Yeah, started in 6th grade band and quit for a little while. Picked up the piano, decided I liked the drums maybe more. Not quite sure which one I like better yet, but
Were you a drummer in like the drum line in high school?
mm-hmm.
I just
Yes,
saw one
sir.
of those on the field of a small baseball diamond in Utica, and I thought, that looks like so much fun. Why didn't I do
That's a
that?
great time.
I should have done that. Who would be your drummer that you looked up to as far as we'll go back to the rhythmic nature of this music. I can think of a drummer that would be like, ooh, that's the guy that might have influenced me if I wanted to be in a band like this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Favorite drummers of mine would be like Lee Von Helm from the band. Steve Jordan is another favorite. As far as playing really rhythmic stuff like this, I don't know if I could pinpoint one exactly, but being in the drum line, being drawn to world music and Afro-Cuban, African music, all that, it just was always something I was really keen to play, and there really wasn't much going on. You know, outside of college, I was just fresh out of college when I joined this band, and so I was all hot about all these different styles of music that I wanted to do. You know.
How about Stuart Copeland from The Police?
Good one.
Rock band
For
and
sure.
the rhythmic nature of that guy. That's basically why I don't play drums, because
Dude, I just played a Copeland lick on that last.
Oh,
tune.
jeez.
You called me, man.
when I was growing up, there was a drum set in my basement, and my brother would play along to records, and when he would leave the house, I'd try and do the same thing. And there's like one song I could do, Back on My Feet Again by the Babies, because it was a simple thing. But I tried to play along with a Police record once, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's hard.
I give
stuff.
up. This isn't for me.
For sure. A lot going on. Fast tempos, too.
Yeah. What keeps you in the Bay Area? I mean, since this band is not based anywhere near where you live.
My wife, mostly.
What
But
the heck? Why
also, I play with many different groups. Some in West Michigan, some in Northern Michigan, some down here in the Detroit area. So it's kind of an equidistant spot, I guess. You know, like we were talking earlier, like everything's about 2 hours away, which seems like a long commute, but I mean that's just part of the job, part of the gig. So.
Well, Erin, you've assembled a really fantastic group of people, and I would love to hear another song before we chat a little bit more. What would you like to do next?
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, it's great to get to feature this group of guys. I feel the same way. Like, I feel really super lucky, and I say it often, that I've got some of the best people in the world here on stage with me, and I'm so lucky. And also, the fifth member of our band that you don't see up here with us is Mark Allen, who owns this studio and who set up all this for us, lights and sound, and he's our sound artist, because he takes engineering to a higher level than what a sound engineer can. It's not the right word for it. So we call him our sound artist, and he's such an important part of the presentation that we do. So I just want to mention him too as we're like featuring the band. And this is another new song called Stay Behind the Wheel. You were made of light
what you wanna hear. And don't confuse the windshield for the rear view mirror. Stay behind the wheel. This is not practice, no, this is real. Your name is signed on the bottom of the tin. So stay behind the wheel. You've been a passenger too long, and your trusted driver steered you wrong. So when you're ready to take back control, there's a way to anywhere that you wanna go. Your body is a beautiful machine. La-da-da. La-da-da. So keep your windows open and keep your engine clean. Stay behind the wheel. This is not practice, no, this is real. Your name is signed on the bottom of the tin. So stay behind the wheel. 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 This is not practice, no, 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 this is real. Your name is signed on the bottom of the tin. So stay behind the wheel. Stay behind the wheel.
Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds on acoustic/electric alternatives, and a song that is from some forthcoming project, which I'm going to ask you about in a minute, but I got to remind myself that this isn't possible without my sponsor. So I want to thank David Palmer. He's a guy that I mentioned has believed in me for a while, especially what I was doing in radio. He specializes in helping first-time home buyers and those selling a home or still recovering from their first experience with a past agent. You can read testimonials about David's work at dcpalmer.com. He's also quite adept at estate sales and downsizing. If you're near my age and you have aging parents, you may have already had to struggle with the passing of a loved one or being left to decide what to do with a lifetime of stuff. Well, He's quite an experienced man in that area as well. Many of us have been thinking, when the inevitable happens, what am I going to do? Well, David Palmer is your solution. He's going to walk you through the steps, and with your permission, help you manage the third parties whose services you will need. I've known him for years. He's a really great human being who has a vast knowledge of the Detroit region, cares deeply about positive social impact. He's a huge music fan. I think you'll enjoy discussing more than just your future home with David, especially if you're a fan of music like I am. Please check out his website, dcpalmer.com, and see how he can help you or someone you know buy or sell a home. David Palmer is affiliated with Realty Experts, LLC, 1420 Washington, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. And the phone number is 313-759-9558. And David, thank you so much for being a sponsor, because this would not have been possible without you, dcpalmer.com. All right, so 3 songs have been done that have all been brand new. What is going on, tell me, with the recording of the next, whatever it might be?
Well, we were in the middle of recording a new album, or we were aiming maybe for an EP first. And we were in the middle of that process when the shutdown happened last year. Another big thing that we haven't mentioned yet is the renaming of the band. And for so many years, almost 15 years, we were just called the Ragbirds. And then in 2019, we went through a huge change and so much in my own personal transformation and the band reestablishing a new sound that we decided to rename the band. It's now we go by Erin, Zindle, and the Ragbirds. So when we did release already one single with that new name to represent this new body of material that's kind of upcoming, and that was released in September of 19, and that's a song called Curious.
Love that song.
Thank you. And so if you look like on Spotify, for example, if you look up Erin, Zindle, and the Ragbirds, only one song comes up because everything else is under, the Ragbirds, which has been an interesting challenge in rebranding and renaming.
Yeah.
But so this new music that we're working on recording and eventually releasing is also just to reintroduce the world to the music through this new name, new branding, and everything. We're going to be filming a music video for the song New Story, which is going to be our next creative project. And I feel like I keep getting this advice from everywhere around me that releasing a song without a video these days is almost useless, especially if it's just a single.
I might agree.
So we're going to be focusing our energy on filming that video and continuing to record. We were well along the way recording many of these songs, and we're kind of just in the process of deciding what to do and what's the next step. So I don't have anything to announce as far as what's the news, what's the plan, because we're taking it, as we go. It's also, as any touring band knows, not really worthwhile, like releasing an album without a tour to support it is also not a great strategy, because you can just, there's music being released like thousands, I don't know, maybe even how many songs every day are released.
No, I know what you mean.
And so it's like, if we're kind of holding on to it until we have a better, clear plan about what's the way to actually get these songs heard, so they're not just, and also once you release it, it's like old news within a month, So you have this like tiny window of time to get that attention, media attention, and whatever, like hype, and so that you actually get people to hear it. Because it doesn't matter how great the song is. It matters, that's what matters to me as the artist. But as far as like a, band strategy and a plan for a career, it's not about just making the song great, it's about having a good plan for getting it out there to the world. So we're still figuring that out.
How many songs were written pre-pandemic, and how many have been written post or during, I guess? Because we're still in it. We're not done.
Yeah, I don't know the full tally, and I haven't divided it up in that way. But between my side project as a duo with Alex Holycross, called Alex and Erin, the side project I did with TJ as Zindles, my solo material, and all of the songs I've written for the Ragbirds that have yet been recorded, all of that unrecorded material, I have over 60 songs completely like done and ready that have not yet been recorded.
It's a box set.
Yeah,
What
well, my it's kind of a good problem to have, people say, but
Yeah, it kind of is.
it
But
is
you want to get it
also-
out there, though, don't you?
yeah,
Because
it
you want to
also
move
is-
on to the next thing.
Maybe instead of singles, we'll just do box sets from here on out.
Yeah,
go the
just
other
a box.
direction. Just do
Yeah.
box sets.
Forget about a single. Well, music is really important to me, and I do my best to support it in any way, shape, or form I can. I know that this has been a tough year for anybody in your line of work. How can a band actually survive without touring in 2021? Can it happen?
yeah, I mean, we've been so blessed to be supported by the Birdhouse Club on Patreon. That's been a lifeline for us, and we've been sharing. It's also been a way for me to have an outlet to share these songs as I'm recording them and writing them, so that the people who really are our true supporters, that really want to hear the music, that want to have that connection with us on a deeper level and hear the behind the scenes stories and all of that stuff, that they can also financially support us and help to keep us afloat. So that's been really important for us especially over the last year and a half. And we have a few shows booked coming up. We have a big Halloween show that we're going to be doing at the Magic Bag, which is Thursday, October 28th. And we're planning ahead for the big holiday show that we do every year. And so there's a lot of things coming up, but we're kind of looking ahead to plan for 2022 that we can be back on the road again and get the songs out there beyond just just our Michigan people here.
I'm glad to hear the eBird and Friends show will be back. I know I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that the previous one was done right here in this room, and it was beautiful, and I loved it and enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this year. And, we don't really know what's going to happen in October, whether we're going to be trapped in our houses again or not. We don't know. Are you ready for that? Do you have any idea what you'll do if that happens? It's a tough... What's that?
Does anybody?
No, I don't. But, I mean...
No.
I
mean, we'll do what we do. We get through, we figure it out. Yeah.
I suppose we will. What are the goals once we get back to what we'll use air quotes and say normal? Do you want to play bigger festivals again? Do you want to try and get a slot on Lollapalooza at some point? Is there like a plan in your head for how to take over the world? Not literally, musically.
Yeah, right now we just our next small goal is finding new management and booking. We're kind of looking for new representation to kind of help us to figure out what the plan is for that next level. And we've been doing this for so long. This is our career. This is the only job I do, and so I have big ideas about getting onto bigger stages. We even when we play on small stages, because we have Allen Audio production, we put on a big show performance and presentation even on the small stages we're playing, because we have a bigger vision for what we want. So yeah, that's the goal, is to get onto the stages that feel like it's like worthwhile to play for 20 people. It's not about the numbers, I love playing small, intimate shows, but it's not a sustainable path for a musician's career unless you can get in front of audiences. And obviously in the days of pandemic, to have a job that relies on crowds is a challenge. But yeah, we just want to be able to sustain the process of continuing to create music and sharing it.
Well, I've been a fan for a long time, and I've noticed it more so recently, but you've always had a very professional approach to what you do. It's never been half-assed. It's always been, you've taken it seriously, and I admire that about you. I mean, because there's nothing against being a local band, because local bands are great, but you guys are a local band who don't feel local. You never have. You've always felt like you're something bigger than where you're from, so.
Thank you.
That's a compliment, not a question. And it leads us to our final song. What would you like to do?
Yeah, so our final song is another new song, and this one is called Liquor Store.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, for having us. This is really lovely to get to talk about the music, and I appreciate that you're you've always encouraged and supported us over all of these years, through all of these phases of our careers. So thank you so much for your support.
You had to make it past the liquor store to get to the Alano Club. You set out each day, wore paints on your face, and the memory of someone you loved. You had to go straight where the sidewalk turns, count the feathers on the birds above. If you were gonna make it past the liquor store to get to the Alano Club. You said grace is new every morning as you stared into your black coffee cup. Today you're gonna make it past the liquor store to get to the Alano Club. You had to make it past the liquor store to get to the Alano Club. Set out each day, wore paint on your face, memory of someone you love. Hey, hey,
Wow. Lauren steals that one, by the way. The drums are awesome on that one. Erin Zindle and the Ragbirds on Acoustic Alternatives. Thank you so much to all of you for being part of this today. And Allen Audio, thank you for doing this and making it possible for me to do it from here. Grove Studios for being such encouraging people for me to even do this in the first place. And David Palmer at dcpalmer.com, because without him, I don't get to do this either. So, wow. Ebert and Friends show, do you have any idea when you might announce that lineup?
The lineup is going to be a little while before we announce it, but
It's early, but
you can mark your calendars for Saturday, December 11th. We're going to be doing a live show at the Arcs. Tickets are not on sale yet, so this is like a little preview. But mark your calendars, because that's going to be the date. And we're going to be doing a live stream as well.
Awesome. you've given me the privilege and honor in the past of announcing the lineup on my radio program. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you. Acoustic Alternatives will be back in a couple of weeks with another episode, and I don't actually know who it is, but Erin Zindle, the Ragbirds website, please.
TheRagbirds.com.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks for joining us.